It was a really frustrating experience, and I'm so glad that we don't usually turn on cameras. So at one point, I just mute myself and start crying. This whole meeting ended without me saying anything because I just can't stop crying behind the camera. Hey, what's up guys? It's been a while since my last video. I had a very good time with my parents visiting me in the US for a little bit over 3 weeks. During this time, I have put some works aside to really enjoying some quality family times. Now they are back, and I'm also back to my channel. In today's video, actually, I wanted to share something that's an extension of a recent Medium article that I have published about don't be a data scientist if. One of the aspects I mentioned is that don't be a data scientist if you don't care about business impact. Many of us who have worked in the industry may resonate with this. It's not about how fancy or how accurate your model is performing, but it's more about what's the business value that your model can drive. And to drive business impact, there's unavoidable communications you need to have or keep at a certain frequency with stakeholders and non-technical audience. Although there are a lot that I can talk about on how to deliver technical details to non-technical audience and how you emphasize on what to cover in different sets of presentations. The thing that I wanted to share today is actually about a very frustrating experience I had with a product expert who doesn't know anything about data science and mostly focusing on engineering side. You know, the business meetings are not just about presenting result. It's also about sometimes you may need some help in defining a business problem or understanding the data better, or like you wanted to ask for resources for their help in some input. And that experience happened when we are trying to ask for help. And yeah, it's really something that had never happened to me before. The reason I'm sharing this is not to criticize anyone, but to really emphasize on the takeaways on how to deal with conflicts in the workplace. Especially personally, I am someone that really avoid conflicts at all costs, especially in workplace when everyone is very nice usually. And it was just really a big shock to me at first. But I think there are some valuable lessons I have learned through that experience. And without further ado, let's get started. So I will start with what happened, and then I will move on to what I've learned afterwards. So a major part of my daily work is to build forecasting models for product demand. And that involves with time series modeling. A major problem that we are facing here is that some products may have very short life cycle. So it means maybe a product will only exist in the market for 1 or 2 years and then it will go end of sale. It will be replaced by other products. If you think about Apple's computers, every few years they have a new product in each of the product line. And it's the same concept, right? It's the same iPhone, but you have iPhone 14, iPhone 15 right now, and maybe in the future we have iPhone 16. But in our business, it's less straightforward to really connect what is iPhone 14 or even what is iPhone 4 because we don't sell it anymore and we don't really have the naming convention that we couldn't find out what is iPhone 4 in our data set. And what we're trying to do is to really identify and group those products that serves the similar customer needs together. So we would have a much longer time series for us to find consistent patterns rather than just 1 or 2 years of data and trying to make predictions. We really need a lot of help from the product team to really understand what those products are so that we can identify them into the same group. And we have been working with multiple product lines, and that incident happens at one meeting with one product line, and there was an expert that's being invited into one of our meetings. This expert is an engineer, so she knows the designs of the product and knows the technology behind it and what is the different generation of it. So when we talked to the product team, they thought it would be a very good help to invite this expert into our meeting to give us some insight. And the meeting was scheduled on one of the days when my manager took the PTO, but we still went with it because we have been doing this for multiple times with different product lines. So I already have a pattern and some slides prepared to make the case and gather some insights and then ask for that help. But things really get out of hand during this meeting, and I never expect that I would end the meeting crying like that ever. So we had like some friendly chat before we move forward, but ever since I start to present about our proposal and the reason why we are asking for this help and how this can help us with our forecasting models, all I have been hearing was denying and interruptions and calling me out that we're doing something that's a waste of time. Her argument was, if we're not selling this product anymore, what's the point of including it if we're not even producing it anymore? I have some counter arguments, and whenever I am speaking, I'm being rudely interrupted and just saying that it's a waste of time. Even the slides that I prepared specifically for this product line was called inaccurate, that those products are either incomplete or it's not the right name underneath it. So basically, everything I said, I got interrupted in the middle and I got very negative and rude comment. It was really frustrating experience, and I'm so glad that we don't usually turn on cameras during meetings. So at one point, I just mute myself and start crying, and the product owner was just trying to talk to this expert with unrelated stuff, and I can hear that her attitude is not just towards me, but it's like kind of like a universal bad and rude attitude. This whole meeting ended without me saying anything, making any more comment, because I just can't stop crying behind the camera. Yeah, so that's basically what happened, and afterwards I just got very emotional, and I messaged my manager that I just finished a meeting with someone that I never want to be in the same meeting anymore. My manager called me right away, even though he was on PTO, trying to ask me what happened, but I was too emotional, like my tears still coming out, that I was not ready to discuss with him. So we just exchanged some short messages, and he got what's going on, and he told me that whenever I'm ready, I can give him a call and we can discuss more details about it. Probably the next day, I had a conversation with him, and we went through what happened. It was really inspiring conversation that we had afterwards, because first of all, he ensured that no one is supposed to feel how I felt in that meeting ever. If I want, we can file a formal complaint about it. While we are going through what's going on, he really inspired me on how should we face and dealing with conflicts in the workspace. The strategy that I actually took whenever I received those arguments and harsh comments is went toe-to-toe. Like, you say that I'm wrong, then I say I'm not wrong, and that's my evidence, and then we go back and forth. And it was like really heated, and I eventually backed down. My manager said for people like that, kind of like know-it-all, the best strategy in dealing with arguments is not to drag yourself into those heated conversations, but rather give the stage to this person and direct a question to him or her. For example, in our case is that we are trying to solve a problem that our product has a very short time series. That's why we are bringing back our end-of-sale products. And her argument is like, it's a waste of time focusing on product that's not on sale anymore. Instead of going back and forth on this argument, I can just simply ask her the question, what is your suggestion on solving this issue of short time series? If we don't have the past history of a similar product, and then we only have 1 or 2 months of data, then what should we do in this case in knowing the insights on making a forecast? So that will, first of all, give them the chance to think rationally rather than just making rude and easy comments on our method. And more importantly, conflicts actually happens due to different reasons. And we kind of have to analyze the situation and understand where those conflict is coming from. First of all, some people can be just arrogant, or they just come to fight, or they just come because there are some conflicts in the interest or benefits. For those people that you're having conflict with, you kind of have to give them the stage for them to have their moment, because you know that there is never going to be agreement between you two, and we need to accept that. Not everyone thinks the same. There are also conflicts about controversial results. Maybe one team said our product sales going to go up based on my model, and the other team says the product sales going down. That's going to be conflicts coming up because your results are different. And in this case, we really need to come prepared on why our model is making these predictions or why we're doing this, even knowing all the technical details about it. Because I have also been in a meeting in the past that our result is different than the other team is expecting, and that we really need to validate our result from the data source that we use to the model that we use and how confident that we have in our model. You have all the validations, and even if you don't at that moment, you need to have follow-up meetings or communications to validate whichever point in your conclusion. And also sometimes the conflicts come from maybe one team want to approach this problem in one method and we are trying to do it in a different way. So in terms of methodology, I think we need to really keep an open mind on what should we do to reach that final destination. Because in most cases in the business world, a lot of problems that we are solving are ambiguous and doesn't really have a right answer to it. So keep an open mind and having brainstorm sessions, and don't just shoot other people down just because they think differently, but more like understanding where they are coming from and whether they are solid in their argument as well. But no matter the conflicts come from different results or different methodology, as long as people from the other side comes with arguments that really support their conclusion or their argument, then I can deem them as rational. And with rational people, you can communicate, you can direct questions, you can seek advice, and it's kind of like a growing process and brainstorm sessions. Versus if you just come across with people that are arrogant or is a know-it-all, then you know it's a lost cause, and it's basically just keep smiling and wait for this meeting to end. But overall, I think this experience, although it's negative, has given me a very unique growth and made me think about how should I deal with conflicts, and when things happen out of my expectation, how should I react to it. After a while, since I had that meeting, I have been a little bit scared when I'm going to meetings with people that I don't know about, maybe a little bit traumatized, and I was always thinking whether my manager is there in the same meeting to cover my back. But I haven't had any other negative experience afterwards, and now I feel more confident, and now I have less of that scare. I think my biggest takeaway is probably start to think about how to adapt to people with different communication styles. Because it's very common that you run into people with very different way of communicating different things, and you kind of have to first of all read the room and understand what they are coming from, what's their personality and what's their purpose, and then develop certain ways to deal with common scenarios, especially in negative situations like conflicts. This experience really opened my mind and also gave me some practice that although I may have cried in this first time, I have more confidence that I can deal with setback better next time. And another thing that I learned is it's okay to have frustrations and all those negative emotions, even at professional settings at work. Maybe my manager has given me a lot of trust and also give me a sense of safetyness from our conversations afterwards, but really it's okay to not feel well being treated this way. Don't really take it very personally when you receive harsh comments from work. Because first of all, those harsh comments may not be true and you know it yourself. And you don't really need to let everyone knows that those harsh comments are not true. And second of all, I think it's really important to learn to distinguish whether there are value inside those harsh comments. Some comments are just bullshit and you know it. And everyone knows it. We can just ignore it and move on. But sometimes there are valuable comments but just delivered in a harsh way. Of course, people should always work on their deliverables. No matter how high they are in their career ladder, it's not your fault that you feel frustrated when you are receiving valuable but harsh comments. People need to work on their ways of delivering things. But in the same time, learn to extract those valuable information out of it and move on with it. Take the benefit of it on your project, on yourself, on your personal growth. It's okay to have emotions, but don't let emotions power you and control you. That's all I want to share for today with that negative experience I had at work. I'm curious to see what's your thoughts about this instance and whether you have similar experience or other negative experience at work during communications or meetings, and whether you have any advice or suggestions on how to deal with people in different communication styles. If you do, don't forget to share your insights or your suggestions in the comment below. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my video for more content. So until next time, keep facing challenges head on, and remember, every experience is a step towards a stronger, more capable you. I will see you next time. Bye!